Mm. Had a little,
Going on Thursday. I thought that was the one you don't record.
that's Friday. Yeah, that's probably your Thursday, my Friday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just got a little confused. I thought, oh, is it Friday? I was totally
Hmm.
disappointed. Yeah.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, everybody. It's I read that article you put up about the brain surgeon.
Yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Notice how he said that the sense of self was still there and the which would be the left temporal area would always find an explanation for things
Yeah,
that how that's what I always say. The sense of self is heavily tied up in the voice, in the left temporal logical reasoning and the speech center and all, which is why unless you remove that. That would be interesting to see if he had taken the left temporal area out and see what's it because they wouldn't have any thoughts. There would be no voice in the head because the speech center would be removed.
yes, yeah. He did talk about taking away large chunks of the brain,
Yeah,
even whole lobes. He said, but he didn't specify left or right when he did.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'd have been more interested in which parts he was taking in particular because
yeah,
be relevant to what I talk about sometimes. But still, it was a great article.
yep,
I've seen similar things too, especially with people who do the epilepsy.
yeah. When they just
Uh,
separate the two
they
lobes. Yes.
right sever the corpus callosum. Good stuff. Thanks for putting it up.
Yeah, he made the point, and obviously he must have been somebody who's into this stuff to a degree, because talking about the sense of self was a big thing there. Uh,
Yeah,
but he was just saying, basically, the overall thing was saying it doesn't matter. I can take out large chunks of brain, and the sense of self remains. He said
yeah,
it's not, it's obviously not tied to any one particular part of the brain. But I have heard other studies where they can locate the part of the brain that the sense of self seems to be located. But he's saying it's not the brain. It's not in the brain. It's a maybe it's a product of the brain, but it's not
yeah,
too specific. It's not. There's no physical component of the brain that relates to it. But
yeah,
yeah, it was an interesting article. Yeah,
yeah,
and what he also referred to that study that showed that somebody watching the brain activity can actually come up with what's going to happen before the person themselves realizes, before
right.
they before the brain tells the person what they're going to,
Yeah,
he can see it, but when what he said was much more realistic in my mind, and that was only sometimes a second or two, not the whole 6 seconds that some other people have claimed.
yeah. He was referring back to I think the same guy or somebody associated with the same guy that made that video of the MRIs years ago that everybody watches over at LU.
Yeah,
That name rang kind of familiar. So yeah,
yeah, bit A,
that
I
study.
think it was something like that. Yeah,
He used EEGs. The study he was referring to used EEGs.
right.
I think the guy ended up using an MRI in a subsequent experiment. I'll have to go check the names, but it sounded familiar when he said it.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Hey, Jackery.
Hey Vince, it's Ja'Cory.
Jackery. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always need to hear names to get how they're said. Yeah. Yeah. Morning, Homer.
Good afternoon, Vince.
Mm. Cormac. Linda, Monique. Somebody else knew was here a second ago, but she's gone again. Yeah. So tell us, Jacori, where are you up to on this journey?
Um, I'm not so sure.
Okay, that's a good answer. I like that one. Yeah, to be sure is always a bit of a trap to fall into, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing then? What's your history with this? How long have you been a seeker? Are you still a seeker?
Um, I'm sometimes I think so, and sometimes I'm not sure. And I've been doing some kind of practice for a while, the past several years, and then the last 4 years I've been living at a Zen center that I just
Okay.
left.
Super serious about
And
it. Yes.
yeah, and yeah, I've done the Liberation Unleashed, like worked with a guide on there, and that's how I found out about you. So
Okay. Yeah. Good one. Hmm. So just to tell you, this is a really informal group. No, there are no rules. You don't need to put your hand up if you want to speak. Just jump in. Um,
thanks.
if we talk over each other, well, that'll soon sort itself out. Yeah. But, would you say that you have uh, anything you want to investigate? Anything that you brought here that you want to clarify?
Um, I'm not sure. The I guess the like you said, the path has been feeling pretty natural in the past month or so, and like it's just unfolding pretty naturally. So I just felt like putting myself in here with the group. I don't know if I have a
Yeah.
certain.
All right. Good
I
one.
think mostly I've just been um, investigating my thoughts and identification with them, but I guess I don't have a specific like angle on that for being in this meeting. You
Sure.
know?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you still find that at times that you believe the claim that thoughts make that there's some
Yeah.
control there?
Yeah. Not like I'm not aware of it while it's happening, but it does appear that like something, some kind of like I remember that I was lost or something.
Yep. Yep.
And
So
yeah.
you would you say that you usually recognize that you were lost at some point after getting lost happens?
Um, yeah, I would say that. I don't know how long it
Yeah,
might
yeah.
take, but yeah,
I mean, if you
at
don't
some
if you
point.
don't recognize that you were lost, you never realize that you were lost. You have
Yeah.
to. It's like you have to wake up from being asleep to realize that you've been asleep. So it's only when you do recognize that you were lost that you'll know that you were lost. But that does happen for you very often or occasionally.
Um, I don't know. I'm finding myself in different periods in my day of like having more of an orientation towards returning and then like being kind of just absorbed in something I'm doing. Like I was dancing for a lot of the day today, and I think during that I'm not very um like I don't return very much to like, oh yeah, this is what's happening.
Right. Right.
um but then I like to have alternate with like taking breaks to just be more oriented towards not being lost as much.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we need to look at is what when you are lost. Let's say sometimes when you're lost, it's it's fine. It's quite appropriate to be lost. What you're doing is you're really just expressing pretty fully what's actually going on. You know, some whatever activity or um, whatever's happening, you're just totally involved in it. It's those times when the delusion that a self is running the show and you're lost in that, they're the ones that we would like to see not happen. And usually if we get triggered into um, an emotional state, if we get angry, as an example, might be, you know, that obviously we're operating from a self, from that delusional state where, you know, there's something to protect or something is going on like that. They're the ones. But if you would say dancing, did you say you were dancing? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going, I'm dancing, I'm doing it, are you? You're just involved in the activity. And so
Yeah.
that's perfectly okay kind of thing, that one. But when
But
you
I think during it, I am like abstracting away from it a lot of the time, like thinking about other stuff or thinking
oh,
about dancing or
yes,
how
yeah,
to dance or
yeah,
yeah.
right, yes,
So it doesn't feel fully like
yeah, gotcha.
satisfying in the way that I
Mm.
have felt when it's more when I'm more present for it and less
Okay.
in my mind. Yeah.
So then are you saying that there's some indication that you're in that place that you would like to be, that's probably a physical sensation, a feeling? Something tells you that you're in that quote, quote, Zen frame of mind?
Yeah, and openness and a lightness and like not feeling very protective.
Right. Yeah. Not
And
needing to protect
um
anything. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So do you have expectations that you should be able to stay there 100% of the time?
No. And when I was doing the uh, dialogue with the guide on LU, that was like maybe 2 years ago or something, or maybe a year and a half. And by the time I finished that, like after a couple months of talking, I felt really clear and like, oh yeah, I don't have to like contrive or like try to stay more in like their the recognition of selflessness or something. And then I don't know. I think over time something felt like it slipped away,
Yeah.
or that I just became a lot more identified with thoughts because I wasn't being vigilant in some way. I just was like, oh yeah,
Right.
it's fine either way. And then,
The big
so
one.
now
Yeah.
I'm kind of like picking it back up, like, oh yeah, maybe there is something more intentional to do.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So would you describe that something lost as doubt thoughts turning up?
Yeah, without recognizing them as doubt thoughts.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Like I think it's not necessarily that they were less before and there are more now, but I was more clear on when they were
Yes.
there before.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a big one. It's not about thoughts being there. It's about our engagement of those thoughts, that where the I tends to, or the delusion of the I tends to come to the front again when we start to engage and believe them. You know, a lot about this concept of belief. That's a big part of that. Yeah. Yeah. And would you say that thoughts of that nature are still there now? They still come visit you?
Um, doubt thoughts?
I missed that. Sorry.
Oh, doubt thoughts?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've been more not more my sense of like coming and going is not as pronounced in like the past month or something. I've just felt like I don't know the area of like any kind of inquiry or looking. It is just like yeah, right here. So um I don't have any doubt thoughts right now. And I'm not sure about before or later.
Right. Would you say that there's something missing?
Um, I feel a deep contentment and also like a just um, I don't know, not like an incompletion, but just that there's more to unfold and I'm just like showing up for it. So
Hmm. I imagine, and this is about me, that that's the case and will continue to be the case until the day I die. There'll always be, even though it might be occasional, a discovery of more. That there's still beliefs in operation down there. But these days I'm rather relaxed about that, and I wait for them to get triggered. So do you get triggered by situation?
yeah, I think I had heard of this um direction of like I don't know, after not believing thoughts and not being as confused about them, then yeah, going into the reaction type work. And so I think for the last year, I've sort of emphasized that in how I like was putting my energy into engaging with like some kind of practice. And um, so I feel a lot less reactive. But yeah, I think there's some subtle ones still.
Mm.
Like they've just gotten more subtle.
Yeah, yeah, they
And
do. Yeah, for sure.
now I kind of was running out of, I don't know, running out of obvious things to work with in that sense. And so in some ways, um, I've, I just came home to stay with my mom and brother in Phoenix, Arizona.
Well, that'll trigger
Which
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, so that's part of it too, like some excitement about being in it and feeling like not scared of being uncomfortable or
Yeah, good one.
uh,
Excellent.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, see the family home and the family situation, oh, that gives you access to earlier stuff. stuff that's the
Yeah.
even pre-verbal stuff sometimes. Yeah, yeah. So the way I see that stuff is that a lot of that stuff is just what I would call remnants. They're kind of little bits and pieces that are there simply because they've not been triggered and been seen through. And that when those little ones get triggered and they come up and we see them, they immediately dissolve and they don't come back. But then there'll be those ones that'll keep coming back. And they're the deeper ones. They're the ones that require a little bit more, uh, how can I put it, conscious activity to look at and investigate and so on. So yeah, we wait for those, yeah. So do you have this is, again, it's about me, do you have this attitude when something turns up that great, I love it when shit turns up, I've been triggered and that's an opportunity for me. Does that feel like that for you? Is it a positive reaction you have when something like that turns up, that discomfort?
Yeah, I think there's been, the more I've gotten into it, the more I've like
Yeah,
been up for it and
excellent.
wanted to find things because it was like, I don't know, it's been really satisfying to like
Good stuff.
work with
Yeah.
those things. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, welcome to this group. We'll talk about stuff that'll trigger things for you, maybe. So we'll see.
Oh,
But
good.
certainly
Thank
jump in
you.
and be. There's a mixture of us here. There's a couple of LU guides. Marius is as well, and Homer's another man that's pretty much awake, and Paul is as well. So and then there's a few that are still seeking, and others that are well, who knows what level we're all at. We don't
Yeah.
measure. But anyway, so yeah, do contribute when you hear people talk. Yeah, great.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for holding the meeting and for
Oh, you're
everyone
very
for
welcome.
being
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
You look really different, Homer. You could almost be a different person.
The background is,
Yeah, yeah.
but I do have a question for you, Vince,
Sure, yeah.
because I posted your chat GPT. Is that one?
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Chat GPT and Feder Free Group.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So how was that for you doing that? I mean, seems like well, how was that for
You mean
you? Was there any
making it?
shift or anything? Pardon?
You mean making the bot?
Yeah, meeting the bot and discussing no self with the bot. How was that for you?
Good. Yeah, I've been pretty critical of it. I mean, when I interact with it, I've been trying to push it uh, to its limit to see what it says. And in the early days of it, it was coming up with some non-dual bullshit stuff about awareness and so on. But I managed to I've got past that. Um, and so uh, I guess I've redone the instructions about 5 times now. And the last time was rather interesting. I had almost a full page of instructions I was giving it, telling it, what to not talk about and what to approach. And the last time I just fed it the instructions that I'd already made and said, rewrite this to be to be better. And it did that, and I then fed it back its own instructions, and it's done a pretty good job since. I haven't been able to get it to do any of that inappropriate stuff. So it's good.
Well,
I'm using it to help me guide on LU, and it's excellent. It's really quite good. Yeah.
well, the one that I posted seemed really good to me. I felt I felt like it was very validating for the process that's happened through this body mind. I was wondering if that, I guess I can remember.
Well, did you post an
Like,
actual
right?
session? I missed that then. I didn't see it. Did you post an actual session you had with it?
No, I posted your session, and you did make a comment that it was your session.
Oh, okay. Right. I'll have to go and look. I don't remember which one. Yeah.
So yeah, that's so I'm trying to like the like well you asked Corey, is there anything missing? It's like the bot or yeah, the bot was asking you, is there anything missing? Or I remember your answer to the bot was no, there's nothing missing. Then you asked about there's got to be a witness.
Yeah, that was me pushing it. Yes. So
Yeah,
I was even I was even saying, well, if there's nothing missing, does that mean that there's something there? You know, I was kind of giving it the opposite to try and get it, trying to trip it up. I was.
right.
Um,
Yeah. And if you even ask that question, the bot, if I can remember right, would say something like, um, why, can you just drop that question?
hmm.
Right? You said again, the one that pops into my mind is it doesn't there. You asked it, doesn't there have to be a somebody
Hmm.
something or somebody witnessing?
Yeah.
And bot said, isn't that just another thought?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
you just drop
in the
that.
early days, it was implying that there was something or somebody there, and it even wanted to call it awareness at one point. Right? So, and I didn't like that. I didn't want that to, and it. One of the things that I haven't managed to successfully get with it is to remove this question that keeps coming back to, well, who is there? You know, it's because of the implication that there is somebody there when it asks who. And it keeps on doing that. It keeps pushing that point, that, well, if who or what experiences those ideas of something there or something not there, something missing, something, whatever you want to put to it, and I don't, I'd like it to reframe that, but I just haven't been successful in getting it to do that.
I don't.
It wants
Well, again,
people to realize that there's no who there.
right.
But when it
But
asks,
that's
well, who is there? There's,
when
there's the,
again, the one that I read, if from what I thought I read, when you asked that question of the bot, I would have thought the bot would have said, who's asking? He would ask you
yes,
back a
yes,
question like, who's asking? Or it would say, isn't that just another thought?
yes. Well, that's fine. I don't. I'm quite happy with that.
Right.
Isn't just another thought. But when it says who's asking, that can be confusing. I don't want. I mean, it's appropriate to consider if there's a who asking. But when it says who is asking, there's an implication in that I think is a bit
I
confusing.
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. But I don't think, again, the iteration that I read that you commented on, I
Mm.
don't think it ever did that. It would just say, isn't that just another thought?
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I guess my point and my question is that last or the iteration that I posted on Better Free just was so enlivening. It actually to me was quite quite descriptive of of the quite descriptive of reaching that emptiness.
Yeah.
having you actually see or experience emptiness or non-duality, whatever word you want to put to it. And that's what I was wondering.
Hmm.
Did you actually, because some of the times, well, like your answers was, no, there's nothing missing. When it asked the question, is there something missing? What is your experience now? You would just say there's just experiencing. There's nothing missing. There's just experiencing. Stuff's just happening. Nobody's nobody's doing anything. There's no doer here. Um, it would say that, and then you would like, yeah, there's no good doer here.
Hmm.
So I was just wondering if that helped you get clear on your, oh, shall we say, gosh, did it help you realize that there's no self at a deeper level?
No, it didn't. It didn't. How could I
Oh,
put
okay.
it? Add anything to my? I wasn't. I was. It was a pretend inquiry rather than an actual inquiry that I did. I was.
Oh, okay.
I was.
Okay.
It was more a case of me trying to work out how it responded and whether I needed to change the instructions. Yeah, it wasn't. A lot of those questions were fake, if you like, but they were questions I imagine that a seeker might ask. So I've actually been using it to guide on LU, and it's not how I would guide. You know, it's much more. Mm, oh, how can I put it? Brutally direct than I would be. Um, but I'm going with it to just see how it works. And um, I I've had one person who saw through the self in one page. It was so quick, but I'm not saying that was because the bot was wonderful or anything like that. I would say that person was already mostly there. It was just a case of a little bit of a cleanup, you know. Um, but it's enabling me to. I mean, I think I'm working with about 8 people at the moment. So, you know, because it's other. If I was to do that the way I used to guide, that would be taking me about 8 hours a night to do it, and I just couldn't do that. So with the bot helping me, that can come down to 1 hour. It's just amazing how fast it can work. Yeah, well, we'll see.
Well then,
It's early days yet.
well then I'll just get, wow. Okay. So that's taken care of, that subject. Then I'll just bring up um, a question I have then of, you mentioned the word when you were talking with Jacori about anger, and that anger is an indication of selfing. But is it actually an indication that there is a self? I'm
You
making a distinction between selfing and self. I
Yeah,
don't know.
you want me to answer that from my perspective?
Yeah.
Mm. Oh, I would say that it indicates uh, a defensive stance, which would I would then assume that I would call that selfing. Yes, it would indicate to me that there is that. Now, that's not all anger. Would be some anger that would, let's say, might be consciously, um, what would you say? I don't know the right word. That we consciously get anger because it's appropriate in a certain situation. Not that I've experienced that, but I can imagine not all anger would be that way. But that anger that gets triggered, that we find ourselves in, that would indicate some kind of a defensive attitude. And so I would say yes, that's based on a belief that there is something to defend, and that's why that anger would be there. So I'm not talking about it being indicating an actual self, but it would indicate that the belief of a self still exists.
That's an interesting. Okay. Huh. Well, I guess I'll just throw out where I come from, or is that I don't know. Since I've reached funny how to say this. Uh, I reached a certain level of, let's say, awakening. That for me, anger or any negative. It's funny. It is funny that any negative emotions that we kind of label that selfing, right? Anger, guilt, shame, resentment, and all of these are indications of a self or self-being. But we don't tend to label happiness, joy, peacefulness, that those set of feelings are not an indication of something. So that's left me in a space of, or I have the ability to accept and cherish both of those sets of.
Yeah. Well, again, I would just discriminate more, and I would say certainly emotions of pleasantness and unpleasantness may be certainly could be there without any reference to a self. And so certainly I've experienced sadness that I would say is not indicative of a belief in a self, and certain happiness is. But if for example you felt happy because I said, "Oh, Homer, you're such a handsome bloke," and you immediately felt happy as a result of that, I would say, yeah, that indicates a sense of self. And yet there's the happiness. So it's been triggered by this idea that, oh yes, I love being told I'm handsome. You know, there's an ego enhancement, if you like, and that's where the happiness comes from. Whereas if you were to witness somebody waking up and feel happy about that, feel joy there, I would say, no, you're not taking ownership of that at all, are you? That's just a spontaneous reaction. So there's no indication of self there. So, I wouldn't say all happiness or all unpleasant or all pleasant would indicate a self. Certainly not.
Yeah. And I go maybe one step further. Even if you did say, Homer, you're such a bloke or such a happy or say handsome guy, and this feeling of happiness comes up, um, and I say, wow, I'm really, in my head, a thought comes up, but I'm glad somebody noticed. To me, that's just another happening.
Mm.
It's just another thought.
Well,
So,
even if there's selfing, it's still just another happening, isn't it?
yeah, that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
So, this is where so even if self comes up or defending comes up, I'm really stuck in a position like, Vince, you're wrong. I'm right. You're wrong. I mean, that's just another happening. Now I'm going to add a caveat there. That position of making you wrong and this body mind right has lessened, but there still could be the energy of a thought like, I wouldn't say it to you, you're wrong. But in the head, there could be a thought that you're wrong.
Mm.
That's just still another happening that's occurring.
Yeah.
So even that thought that you're wrong or I'm wrong or, the self-reference self-referential thoughts like I'm a worthless human being, if that
Yeah,
ever came up, would just be another happening.
yeah,
Now, and I understand that there's a philosophy, well, a philosophy of that when we wake up, all of these negative emotions will go away. So I don't subscribe to that. I just, again, they seem to have lessened in intensity. So I have to admit that. But I don't see, for me, and then so this kind of could prove that I'm not enlightened at all.
yeah. It seems kind of irrelevant to me. Yeah. So I would say, see, when you were saying that, I would say what might happen here, what's likely to happen here, or what has happened here, is that I would, instead of saying you're wrong, I would probably say something like, "Oh, that's what you believe. That's your perspective on things," you know. And then I realise as soon as I say that, that what I'm doing is I'm acknowledging separateness. So there's another level there
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that's good. So if you don't mind,
Of course, go
uh,
for it. Yeah,
I just have a great experience. Well, right now we could just say there's no self here, right? Right now, right? There's no self here, and just talking's happening. I'm looking at it, the computer screen's just happening. There's doesn't have to be a Homer talking, Vince or anybody listening. That's all well and good. And but yesterday I was taking my dog for a walk, and my wife decided to go with us. And I'm not going to ever do that again. um, that's just a joke. But when we walk the dog together, certain phrases will come out of her mouth, like, "How can you let him cross the street when you shouldn't have let him cross the street?" And so I can feel the contraction start happening when the big one was I have my dog carry his own poop. I just have a little coat on him and I clip the bag of poop to him. And she doesn't like that, but I chose not to take it off of him. But we were getting near a dumpster, so takes the takes the poop off of him and throws it into a recycling container. And that just automatically, I could just go, "No, why'd you do that?" Right in my head. In fact, I actually said it out loud, I think. And then I could feel that contraction, right, all the way through this. And then we just kept on. Well, I tried to get it out of there, but it was too deep into the container. I could just feel that contraction and that anger, let's say. Just kept on walking, and then it just dissipated. Dissipated, and we kept on walking. So, but in all of that, I could say there was just, it was all just happening. So yes, there would be it in the normal vernacular that we use. There was a total self there, pissed off, shrunk, did
yeah,
not want to interact with her for a while. So you could say, well, again, I'm not enlightened. So there's a self there. There was a Homer pissed off. But on the other hand, there was this noticing all of this just happening, happening. So that's my example of, again, waking up to this, seeing everything happening, the good and the bad and the neutral, all of it.
yeah.
But
So I would
there's no way.
I would like to, I would examine the story that if those things turn up, you're not enlightened. I think that's a load of shit. If
Thank you.
If if you're aware of what's going on, it's just more stuff to work with, isn't it?
Right. And I can go back and see if it's childhood stuff or whatever, why that anger
Well,
came up.
whatever.
I
Yeah,
could do all that if I wanted to, and
yeah,
maybe I will.
yeah. Or you could get into Feta 4 and 5 stuff. That would
Yeah.
seem appropriate. Yeah.
But again, what you kind of said just before that was there was just this noticing of it all.
Hmm.
Now that noticing about all of this, I don't know, that just makes things a lot more.
Yeah. Do you get that just the noticing of it will change it? Or do you think
It
you've got to go and do some work on it in order to change it?
That's a great question. I would say just the noticing of it in and of itself lightens it a little.
Yeah, yeah. Makes it more accessible.
Yeah. Now, whether I choose to work on it or more or less, I don't know. But yes, that lightning though gives there a better chance, let's say, that I will work on it.
Hmm.
But whether I do or not, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I suspect that there's value in recognizing patterns of things because there can be variations of that same stuff that's all based on the same foundation, if you like, foundational belief, if you like. And this kind of brings me back to, my most recent realization that I think the world should be the way I think it should be, and that if I want something hard enough, it'll happen. That was a belief, and that a whole lot of variations of behaviour rested on that belief. That was, so yeah.
Well,
So pattern recognition
I
can be valuable in that one.
yeah, I have worked on that belief, and that one has, let's say, dropped 90%. I don't know, that one has dropped
Yeah, we'll
because
wait
it's
and
just,
see. Yeah,
I mean, it just is what it is. And that doesn't mean that I don't go out and try to change things, but there's just not the personal
mm.
energy that have to change. So yeah, I again with all of that noticing has just lightened everything up, freed a lot of stuff up.
Mm.
And again, it has given me more opportunity to work on stuff because I don't, it, well, I guess the phrase is things are just not taken as personal as they used to. Even though, again, I got pissed off at my wife. That even is not taken as personal as it used to.
Yeah, good.
Even though there's a self still here.
Mm.
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course. Don't ask, just jump in. Yeah.
Okay. That was my way of jumping in. But
Good point.
but when I'm hearing you, Homer, it um yeah, reminds me of, or like there's a question coming up about how I relate to yeah, that framing of like everything just happening and it not needing to be some other way. And that I think one thing that is kind of clarifying for me is that I was using that sometimes to like justify passivity, or like there were so many instances that like came up for me that like um yeah, I felt kind of like things that would make me upset, and then I'm like, oh, it's just like my own thing coming up, and I don't know, there's been something really uh amazing about like taking the risk now to like um reveal it when I have that thing and like share it with someone. And so I was kind of wondering where you're at with that, and like if that's like what was the reason for like not sharing your uh being upset with your wife, if it's like yeah, if there's some withholding there, or if it was just not like it wouldn't have been appropriate, or but yeah, that's the question I'm working with personally, like finding the balance of like
Mm-hmm.
everything being okay versus like not withholding something that's kind of being hidden because I'm not fully bringing it out there.
That is so beautiful, Jacori. Yes. Um, yeah, I'm right there with you. I'll probably tell her about it. Usually I do. She's always the greatest opportunity for me to be authentic and honest. So, um, but yeah, the, and that's the type of relationship that we have created because of both of us working on our stuff. So yeah, finding that balance of do I need to confront or tell her about this or not? I don't know. But what comes up from your sharing is that yeah, this enlightenment stuff can, and I'm pretty sure you guys heard the term, can lead to spiritual bypassing. So I don't practice that. That's why I come and tell you about it, and I'll probably tell her about it too now. But again, yeah, that's, but it's the noticing of it that still takes some of the fear away about being authentic and being vulnerable with other people.
Yeah, I would go as far as to say, and it's really an interesting one, acknowledging it to yourself, maybe as far as it needs to go.
Sometimes.
Whether you say it out loud and have a conversation with somebody else about it, like telling her, it's almost, well, it's another story. It's not. I mean, I don't mean a story as in a story. I mean, it's another thing. You know that it's about that. That's about your relationship, and so it may be appropriate to do that, or maybe it doesn't matter to do that. But acknowledging yourself is a very important one. Now, if you're inhibited, if you feel afraid to say it, or you don't want to say it because that's another. That's still about you. That's not about the relationship, although it reflects on the relationship. But yeah, it's primarily something going on. Is there a contraction involved that says if I say this out loud, then something's going to happen, and there, you're into storyland. Then yeah,
All of that comes into play.
it is.
I
It's
mean,
yeah.
it's fun stuff to continue. Well, like Jacori, yeah, you asked Jacori, these are everything. Well, everything is a grist for the mill. Everything,
Yeah,
even this conversation right now,
sure. Yeah, yeah,
can
yeah.
be is 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 a chance to practice those words.
Yeah. But there's this you've excited this thing in me that kind of reflects on levels, if you like. There's levels and levels and levels of this thing. We can get into more detail, more and more detail about these kind of things that happen. Um, so at one level, everything's a happening, right? And the thing is, it's not even right to say it's a happening. because by the time we become aware of it, it has happened. It's finished and past. So there's nothing can be wrong. At a certain level, no matter what turns up, there's nothing wrong about it. It's either an opportunity, it may be unpleasant, or it may be pleasant in the reaction to it. But regardless, everything is okay, whatever turns up. It's then what happens with it. That's yeah. So we can get and all these levels exist at the same time, multiple levels. You know, levels inside levels and levels hanging off levels, and oh yeah, it's just amazing. Yeah.
Well, your chat with the bot that I referenced to, the phrase is, it's just this. Another phrase is, it's just happy, or it's just this.
Yeah.
This. Whether this is me pissed off at my wife or this great conversation right now, it's just this. And if I have, and like Jacori said, if I'm ruminating about Sharon about poop, it's just this. There's a contraction there, it's just this. If there's an excitement there to tell her about it, it's just this. Whether I tell her or not, it's just this. I don't know. That's the beauty of the work, is that, at least for me, is that there's this one gets comfortable with the not knowing.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. I didn't know that she was going to throw the poop in the green bin, the recycling bin. I didn't know that. And I didn't know I was going to contract. You don't know any of this.
Yeah.
But there does seem, once you do enough this work, it just seems to be an opening that happens. Expansiveness, an okayness would be the word you just seem.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, I'm really interested in hearing from you, Celine. You're a new face, and I always want to. Where are you up to on this path? Are we talking above your head, or are you with? Is it making sense what we're talking about? You're muted at the moment.
Yes, it all makes sense. Hi, this is my first time here in the United States in Texas. Yeah, and actually I've been working some with the Fetters, and especially Fetter 4 and 5 right now. So this is right up my alley, this conversation. And just got the final questions on LU that I haven't started responding to yet, just arrived this morning. So that's where I am essentially.
Great.
And yeah, I just went and had lunch and did some things with a friend today. And actually, as we started the journey out, I told him to please, like, if he noticed any judgment coming up, to call me on it, like immediately. Just say it to me, because that's probably one of the big ones for me, has just been a lot of judgment and self-judgment then on top of that for judging others. But as you guys can imagine, the United States can be, there's a lot going on here right now. And where I live,
Trump.
yeah, and living in Texas is especially challenging. So yeah, so it's easy sometimes to get sucked into those little political rabbit holes and stuff. But yeah, so.
Yeah, good. Have you recognized that any opinion that you have is a judgment?
Yes. Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Great. great. That's a big one because we have opinions easily, but we tend to not see them as judgments until we get called on it, and then we go, oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. I'm really pleased that you see that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say with those final questions, when you get to answer them, just make sure you answer them from the perspective of your experience. Don't philosophize at all.
Hmm. That's the hard part because I love to philosophize.
Yeah. Mm. Oh, good. Well, very welcome. 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 Yeah.
Did you say something, Andre?
Yeah, I said, well, yeah, I was guessing probably didn't go through. I asked Vince, how do you know that I look uncomfortable?
I didn't say I knew you were uncomfortable. I said you look uncomfortable. I could be more accurate and say I interpret your look as you being uncomfortable. But I guess there's a question in that. Are you? Were you?
Hmm, I think I'm always uncomfortable, yes. So actually, when I asked you that question, I was thinking about if there's a mo- when I look comfortable, and is it different to other people when I look comfortable? Because I was right before you asked your question, I was sort of looking at the group members, and I was just noticing how people are positioned in front of the cameras, and where their hands are, and what my sort of how I see them, and how they like what they look to me, like what I look to you, but what they look to me. And I it's probably a reflection of my own stuff, but I'm seeing that un level of uncomfortable in well, actually I'm not seeing, I'm just feeling uncomfortable. And when I look at I mean, when I look at people, um it is amplified. I don't really go deeper into that, asking, what amplifies it or what changes. But it almost seems like I have this may sound weird, but it almost seems like I have a uh, this is kind of funny because when I was listening to Craig talking, I thought, well, it kind of feels light. I don't have anything. And then when you asked me that question, I realized it's not light. It's just that it's very heavy actually. Um, but I choose not to pay attention to that heaviness. I choose to um, focus on something else and just distract myself from that feeling of um, um, uncomfortableness. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I I don't feel comfortable at all. Like it almost to the point where I wanna um, run away, but the curiosity that I have about that, what's happening to me right now, is is sort of counterbalancing that running away impulse. It's not really a desire. It's just more of a uh, the more I talk, the more I dive into that. What's that feeling? I mean, I don't really want to call it anything. It's something between fear and embarrassment um and desire to, well, not desire, more of um a need to be authentic, a need to be vulnerable, but um yeah. So yeah, there's a bit of balancing going on for me right now. Um, Plus, I'm sort of talking, sort of, I have this conversation going on. Well, not much more monologue really, that says you're selfing too much. Like this group is not for that. Um, you're clearly you're selfing too much, and you say I too much, and you do this too much, you do that too much, and there's a um. Yeah, it's kind of, I almost add more people to that group who look at me and as if they criticize me. But even though they're I almost like make this world more uh unsafe by adding more sort of fantasies about
Mm.
um unsafety. And
So this idea of you selfing, I want you to ask Paul about it.
um I'm just checking your
Ask
name
him if
to
you're
see.
allowed to do it.
Yeah, Paul, can I do the selfing?
I'm not sure what you're talking about, but go ahead. What are you asking? Be more specific, I guess.
Well, my question is because I almost think like you're the watcher, like you're the, one of the elders here, and you're like the dog with three heads, and you're guarding this space from selfing or from thoughts or from uh dualistic views on things, and I'm the one who's like, oh shit, I'm not gonna pass your your test. So I feel that there's a little bit of anxiety where I am trying to be that self, which I am right now, but also, um, what's the word? Satisfy you in my perception of showing you that I have seen through this. I don't know if it makes any sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't think of myself as a guardian, as just a pointer outer that you're overlooking the simplicity. When you start wandering off into stories about this, that, and the other, about selfing, you're becoming more and more self. The more you seek non-seeking, the more you seek non-self, the more self you become in a way. The seeking is the self in a way. So when I hear I'm doing this to see through self, that's selfing in and of itself, the seeking in itself. So all I like to point out is that you already are what you are, and what is happening is already happening, and that's it. It is what it is. And the questions are just more selfing in a way. And I think even the chat bot said there was a question in there. What if questions arise or something like that? It said, is there somebody that really needs an answer? Can you just sit quietly with the question being unanswered? You see what I'm pointing to here? The seeking is the self in a way. If you can just sit quietly and be, and be okay with the questions about is there a self in a way that's no self. Selfing is in a sense just being at not being at ease with questions coming and going in a way. Are you following me? The
Yeah.
pursuit is the selfing. The seeking is the selfing. If you can sit quietly with a question and not demand an answer, that's the first good step. Because there's nowhere to go because it's here already. There's nothing to get because it's here already. In a way, the questions are just a disturbance in this. I'm pointing out that the efforting is the selfing. You following?
No, but I kind of feel dumb um when you say this. I th- I think when I think I understand, and then I can sense that there's this response in my body, and I'm just like, what's the question? Am I supposed to just sit there and not say anything? Why am I um so I have like this whatever process going on in parallel with um what you're saying or you're pointing to, and then am I understanding this correctly, this whole pointing to, or that Paul is talking about? Um is it actually important for me to hear what you have to say, or is the need um
Now you're getting close. Keep going.
yeah, I it's almost like this childish, I don't know, it's a fantasy. I'll just throw it there and see.
I want your approval, Daddy.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. It's the need is for approval. It's not for knowledge, it's not for selfing or non-selfing, and maybe oh fuck. And when I say this, I feel so embarrassed. This is like, yeah, this is like me, if like a first grader, going to a first year and the like of the university group, and then a class, and everyone's so advanced. And anyway, I
Were you asking these kind of questions when you were a first grader?
no, I was when I was first grader, I just wanted to play and
Well, there you go.
yeah, but
Why did the questions come up? Is there a self?
because I don't know how to play unless uh, I mean, in order to play, I have to I don't know, I have to follow the rules that I just made up, but um, and then it gets me back into this whole fakeness and oh fuck. It's
Why don't
almost
you
like
ask Paul if it's okay to
I
play?
but Paul, is that okay if I play? Well, for you, well, clearly the cat
Well,
is doing that.
well, let's just look at play as just dropping the search for a while because that seems like a lot of work. Seems like not play. Seems like stressful. Seeking, seeking, seeking.
Yeah. But not only seeking, but also trying to be um, uh, compliant uh, to be on the same page as everyone, and then I can keep playing, I guess. If I'm not, then I don't really deserve to play. I have to first get the grades straight, and then
I don't know if
and
there's the
also,
same page for everyone.
well, I kind of get that, but I'm not able to see why. Um, it's almost like this. There's an idea that it doesn't have to be that hard. It can be so much more playful and but still I'm trying. I'm trying to play. I'm trying to be playful instead of just being playful. And I don't see how that whole contraction how uh,
What is the contraction?
the the story behind the contraction is that I have
No,
to
no,
be
no. I'm not
something.
asking about the story behind the contraction. Define contraction.
The contraction is almost like I can feel like shackles on my hands and my chest and I um and it's almost ready to resign basically, almost ready to say whatever, just go ahead without me and just leave me behind. Yeah, that kind of thing. Like I don't know how to relax because I try to, well, that will be looping again. Um, I
You
can
seem
see.
to be struggling with sensations in the body.
I'm not really struggling. What do you mean by struggling? Do you mean I'm not
Well, when
able
you
to def
characterize it as handcuffs and things like that, it seems like you're struggling to be free of sensations in the body.
well, I guess I classify them as the good ones and the bad ones, and almost like the contraction is not a good one, and and I have to do something about it. I have to turn it into expansion or the feeling of relaxation. Um,
Where'd you get that story?
I don't know.
Did you read that
Uh,
somewhere?
yeah, I guess so. Someone said, probably someone said that when you feel expanded and you feel, well, it's a kind of bliss and expansion. They're all on one sort of part of the scale, and then contraction and nausea and um, disgust, and they're on the other end, which is
What would
more of a sort of
expansion feel like in terms of sensation in the body?
um, tingling, I guess, is the closest.
Where'd you
And
get
well,
that?
there's a I don't know. Someone told me, I read somewhere. I have no clue. It's just, I don't know. I think like tingling is good. Maybe I spend way too much time with the esoteric people, and they have their vocabulary, and I have adopted that vocabulary.
Well, how do you know what contraction is if you don't know what expansion is?
Well, I call it expansion. Maybe it's not expansion. Maybe it's a I don't know. Somehow I think it's the opposite of contraction. Um, I don't know.
Where did you get the idea that whatever this sensation is, and not sure what it is, that it bears the label of contraction?
Because it's constricting. It's heavy. It's stopping. It's
Are you defining or describing?
well, these are the words that I have when I sort of try to mm, think of this, well, remember whatever, or pay attention to this sensation in my body, then these are the words that come up to describe it. So I don't really know if it's a description or definition or just like I need a way to describe it, and that's how I describe it.
Well, when you say it feels like handcuffs, I mean, that's you that is a description. What is the actual sensation in the arms?
Well, it's almost like there's an extra weight on them, but it's hard to describe. I mean, it doesn't really qualify as sensation, right? Because sensations are more of a, I don't know, they should be more linear, and this is more descriptive kind of way. When I say there's extra weight on the hands, but it feels like, oh, it doesn't feel like it. I don't know. Now I'm confused because I don't I don't see like sensation is what? Cold, right? Hot. That's this kind of sensation or
Hmm.
and when I say there's extra weight on my hands, that's not a sensation. That's just
That's just some story. Is there actually anything happening other than the story?
well, what I'm noticing now is the breathing is almost stopped and I'm so used to describing sensations in this way that now I'm struggling to describe it. I I don't know how to describe this, but it feels well, it feels it's I want to say it's tension, but then I don't I can see another story coming up which says the tension is bad, and then and I don't know why it is bad.
Well, are there times when there's no tension?
I can't really focus outside of what's now. I mean, that would be mm, using memory, I guess.
With
So
the
what,
label bad is what I'm getting at here, that this tension is bad. You keep describing it in bad terms. Can't tension just come and go and just be? Why does there have to be? I mean, I don't know that there's any permanent cure for sensations in the body. There's just the story can weaken, but I don't know the sensations can change. their perspective on sensations could possibly.
Well, because when these seem like the symptoms of shame or embarrassment that I feel that I'm sort of blushing and my jaws are tense. Um, and there's also that contraction in my stomach or tension in my stomach, and I there's a belief that the, that the shame or embarrassment is a stopper. Basically, it stops me from, I don't know, from being authentic. I guess that's the story that I have. I don't see it. I don't see embarrassment or shame as part of the authenticity. I see it as a as a as a restriction or limit. So hence, whatever is happening in my body now, I look at it as something that is not allowing me to be something else, which there's an idea about of what I should be and how I should feel and how I should behave.
The stories coming up into what is happening right now.
Mm-hmm. It's all the stories. It's hard for me to just feel that. Um, it's hard. It's hard for me to just feel it. I guess to just feel these sensations, or because I feel very unstable.
Do you think there's control over that? Sensations coming and going?
I th To a degree, yes,
Well, then why don't you stop them?
because I haven't seen through this. Because I am because I am projecting some sort of parental figure on you instead of seeing through this and knowing that you're not. You're just Paul. But
Okay. But if you had control, you wouldn't even be asking the question. You'd be done, wouldn't you?
well, the yeah, you're right. But this is not happening because I'm not, you know, I haven't, you know, the effort is not good enough. I haven't, I'm not too diligent. So not this time. Like I have this time I failed. Maybe next time. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, this goal, I mean, how do you know the goal isn't what is right now? That's as good a story as you've got. How do you know you're not exactly where you're supposed to be right now? Since it's pretty obvious you can't change it.
Well, it's almost like an idea that I mean, I don't know, I can jump 4 meters. Well, I can jump 50 centimeters higher, and then I want to I want to jump more. I want to be able to jump like 60 or 70 or whatever. It's not like I'm these are so it's a way for me to it's I think it's along the lines with the awakening. It's somewhere there. It's like it's revealing the truth, and the story that I have is that this truth can only be revealed once I I am done with my shadow work or like that. So once I fix that, the like the child need to be seen or to be approved or whatever, then that will be something else. But that will be like a stepping stone for that, and that would also mean that, well, I have progressed, and um,
Well, if you
I'm
had control, you would have fixed it already, wouldn't you?
I don't know how to fix it. I haven't. I mean, I tried, but I don't really have a um, I don't have a way to fix it.
I've got a question, Andre. You're telling me that your authenticity is not authentic enough, and I want to know how if you get beyond the not quite authentic enough authenticity into something more authentic, how will you know whether that's authentic enough, or will you always want more authenticity?
Yeah, I'll. It's like unquenchable hunger for well, there are two stories. One story is that like people say there's potential and potential can be um you can live to your fullest potential, and I think that's part of that, and mm, part of that movement or part of that passion. And the other part is that that I wanna um I guess I just want to be able to see that truth and like life in its purest form, and not and basically know that I am standing in the way. So, well, there's an idea that I can be, there could be something between me and that truth, and I'm always trying to remove that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So,
Believing that it could also give me extra, I don't know, make me more like freer, I guess.
so
Give me extra
what you're
freedom.
experiencing right now, right? You're showing me what you're experiencing right now. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the emotion in what you're experiencing right now, and you recognize that. I would call that authentic, but you don't. You say, "Oh, what that's hiding is what is the authenticity I want to get to."
Well, this is part of authenticity, I guess, um, but it's just a little, yeah, a tip of the iceberg.
Right?
That's
Yeah, yeah.
well, that's the idea that I
So
have.
this human stuff, this normal human stuff, is not good enough. You want something wonderfully spiritual.
No, no, it's not. No, it's not about wonderfully spiritual. It's about because I'm thinking that whatever is happening to me, like I just well, there's a desire to be aware of like what the game that I'm having with Paul, for example, and I want to be aware of it, and I want to see that game inside out, and then just drop it. But well, there's
You saw it.
it,
You did see it. You did see that you wanted his approval. You wanted his
yep.
acceptance. Yeah, you saw that. What more do you want?
Well, I wanted to fix it. I wanted to like stop that from being there, to I don't know, evaporate it, to change it into, change the status, from seen to in work in progress to complete.
Right, right. So you don't get that if you see it and acknowledge it, that it will change. You
Well,
think
I have
something
seen,
else has got to happen.
yeah, but it hasn't changed. I've seen
Yeah,
it a
but you
few
haven't
times with
acknowledged it
Paul.
either. Have you? Or have you?
No, I haven't, because I still am embarrassed to admit it, that
Mm,
this is like,
that's pretty authentic. You tell us that you're embarrassed. You couldn't be much more authentic than that, eh?
yeah.
Or is there something more authentic behind that and behind that?
No, 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 I didn't see. No, just honestly admitting to this group and to Paul and to you, that, and to myself, that I have this thing going on that I don't really uh I don't have like 100% clarity with, and I want to be able to,
What do you think's
uh,
obscuring that clarity?
because I'm involved in it too much. Like I'm actually playing it. I'm part of it. I am in it. I am it.
You are it. Are you your thoughts? I mean, I know there are lots of thoughts coming and going. Is that you? Are you your thoughts? Or are you just simply the knowing of the thoughts?
I I cannot. Well, there's an idea that thoughts define me, that thoughts form, that thoughts mm, give me a sense of shape. Um,
Thoughts define you, but what is the you that thoughts are defining?
um, no, I mean, I see this as like thoughts are just lots of birds, and there's this guy who is sort of feeding these birds, and they're they're all there, this poultry or whatever, just birds, and so he's not birds, but he's sort of looking after them in a way, I guess, by feeding them and by
So thoughts
so
define you, so you're not your thoughts. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that um I'm saying that this that based on thoughts, there's a conclusion being made about me.
But
The
the
quality,
conclusion is more thoughts, isn't it?
yeah, I'm very dense today. But yes, it is. Yes, thoughts.
Do you see thoughts as you, the subject, or do you see thoughts as objects arising?
I see them as me, the subject. I am, well, yeah, I am every thought that appears. That's how I see it.
Does does any thought that arises, can that thought think? The thought I am Andre, can that thought think?
Hmm. Mm. Before I could definitely say no, it cannot think, but now I can't, I don't know. I don't know. Because for me,
Does that
there's
thought know anything about you?
there's an idea that the thought belongs to something else, it is part of something else. And then that part, it's it's almost like
Take that
thoughts are
thought,
part.
take that thought, I am Andre, and put it up on an imaginary chalkboard in front of you and look at it.
Mm.
Can that thought, in and of itself, as an object on the board, can that thought think? Take it out of your head, put it up on the board. Can that thought think?
No. But, but you just made it just a mere declaration. When you make it a mere declaration, it cannot think. It's just,
Did I make it a mere declaration, or is
well,
it a declaration?
well, it's almost like when you put it on the, when you talk about thoughts as separate some things, then they are disconnected. And then when they're disconnected, then they just
Okay.
arise. They're
So
not part
that
of
thought,
anything.
I am Andre, it doesn't know anything about you, does it?
No.
So what makes that thought different if from it being up on the board or it being supposedly in your head? Does it magically start thinking because it's not up on the board anymore?
It feels like, well, it feels like there's an idea that it is part of the, it has some sort of substratum where it grows.
Does that
And
thought, I am Andre, in your head, and say the next thought is, I grew up in such and such? Does that thought, I am Andre, know anything about the next thought? That I grew up in such and such? Does it know of that other thought?
no. It- yes. Yeah. It
Not
almost like,
asking if there's, I'm not asking if there's the knowing of the two thoughts. I'm asking if the thoughts themselves can think or know of other thoughts.
no, no. No, yeah, when you clarified it, I guess that's what I was, that knowing,
So the thoughts can't think, can they?
no.
I'll ask you again. Are you your thoughts?
I can't answer it. It's just it's all mixed up. I mean, I can answer, I can give you an answer from my head, but I I don't know. It's just I'm not clear now at all.
Take just one, the thought, I am Andre. Are you that thought?
I can't. No, I can't give you a. There's no yes and there's no no. I don't. But I cannot give you a definitive answer. I don't know.
Can you, that is hearing my voice, can you think?
Hmm. It takes me some effort to understand the question. Can I think? Yeah, I can think.
Can
I
the
can think.
thought think?
No, but it's
So you're
when
not your thought, are
well,
you?
that's a logical answer. I don't like it. It's not coming from I don't know.
If there is no thoughts, is Andre gone?
Uh uh for a moment, yes. Well, that Andre that I'm thinking about is gone.
So who is it that's thinking about the Andre that is gone?
Oh, I mm, I I can't anymore. Sorry guys. It's becoming too I'm struggling.
That's okay.
But thank you for helping.
Just keep looking.
Thank you.
How have you been, Ray?
Um, I've been having a little bit of a hard time. Um, this was, first week out of in my apartment, kind of away from my family. Um, so there's been a lot of, contractions, I guess, like thoughts about anxieties about the future. Um, a lot of feelings of resistance. And so, yeah, I guess kind of what I've been doing is I've been trying to notice when I have when I get caught up in these thoughts, and I try to redirect attention to um who's perceiving these thoughts, and I feel like that brings me back into presence. Um, I feel like I feel like I can do that reasonably well. I'm not sure how much it helps other than to keep me from getting too swept up in whatever thought it is that's coming up for me at the moment, you know?
Would you say it's just a short-term fix?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the feeling for me right now. Um, I think I feel like I'm able to do this practice, but I'm not sure that it's brought me any kind of lasting relief. I think it kind of it centers me somewhat to the point where I'm not really like caught up in my suffering, but
Yeah, but it keeps coming back.
correct.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what if you add the next step to it, which is when you come back to the present, does that give you enough, how can we put it, distance to then examine what the thing that you just escaped from, that incessant thought stories, does that give you the enough distance to be able to see what belief that rests on?
Hmm.
So it's like you've mastered the first bit of that process, that you stop yourself being engulfed by the thoughts and then the consequences of those thoughts. You can get out of that. But the next step then is to recognize that those stories arose because of a belief that they rest on, if you like, that they come out of, a belief about something. And it's that belief that persists, and that's why these things keep coming back.
Hmm. I haven't really, no, I haven't really done that. So I guess I haven't really taken that step yet. Um, I feel like as soon as I kind of bring myself back to center, like other thoughts start to come up. I just feel like I'm constantly like defending myself, I guess,
Mm.
is sort of like there it's not slowed down enough for me to really um to study them
Yeah,
individually.
yeah, I get it. Yeah. So there's still that feeling of you have to be on guard.
Yeah, and I mean, um, there's that, and there's kind of this feeling of just generally kind of not just feeling out of place and feeling kind of alone.
Hmm.
I think those are things that I'd mentioned before, and
Yep, yep.
that's also still there. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the content of those thoughts, I guess, eh? Yeah.
Hmm.
So can you recognize that a possibility is that there's a belief underneath that those stories rely on in order to turn up, and that single belief can give you all sorts of variations of those stories about that produce suffering. And that belief is that it could be different. As simple as that. It could be different. It should be different.
Hmm.
Well, another way to look at it, come from the other angle for the same thing, and that is, and this is just another story, of course, but it's a good story, is that if you were to accept the inevitability of this, none of those stories would turn up, would they?
Yeah, I suppose that's true. I think one of the stories that comes up for me is also just that I can make it different in the future.
Okay, but
So
yeah,
that's control. Yeah.
it's a really interesting one. I can make it different in the future, but I'm suffering now
Mm,
because I haven't yet made it different. So it still
right.
rests on the idea that it could be different. It will be different.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, it may be true that it will be different. It almost certainly is true that it will be different. However, what is it now?
It is what it is right now.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And it's ignoring that fact that invites all these stories to turn up.
Mm,
Now, it's really tricky here, and it's really important that you don't just use that logical, deductive kind of process in order to make yourself feel better, because that's just bypassing. That's not accepting that what things really are. That's just coming to a logical conclusion about it, and that's just another short-term fix. But the recognition of the situation right now as it is, not how you want it to be, not how it could be or should be or anything else, how it actually is absolutely freeing. It changes everything. There are none of those stories have any foundation anymore with that. So what would it feel like? What do you imagine it would feel like? Or what can it, or what does it feel like if it's more than just imagination right now for you to go, this moment, right here, is there anything wrong? In the actual situation?
I mean, there's still some pain and discomfort, I guess, is what I would say. I don't know that I don't know if I could say that's right or wrong, but I mean, it's what's here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the foundation of that pain, can you access that?
I'm not really. It's. I mean, I think it's so many things that it's thinking about the future. It's thinking about the past. It's shame. It's inadequacy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Guilt. Yeah, it's all of these. It's all of these things, and you're right that it may also be based on a resistance to kind of the situation as it is.
Yeah. And it's true. If we look at perspectives, it's if you come in from one particular angle, it's true that those stories exist now, and the consequence of those stories are the pain that you feel right now.
Mhm.
That's just one angle to look at it from. Another angle is where the recognition that none of those stories are about right now. So if you were to just push into the background any story other than what is there right now in my situation, is it possible that what I am feeling would change?
Yeah, I think there's a possibility.
So imagine that possibility for a moment, and can you feel resistance to it anywhere in the body?
I don't really know. Like, I don't feel resistance to that idea in the body. There's very much a part of me that wants to feel better, to be in the situation that I'm in without pain. Um, so I don't know that there's resistance to it in the body. Um,
But there's a big yeah but screaming in your head.
yeah, I think if there's resistance, it's mostly like in the mind, and it's kind of like a fear that I don't really know. I think it might just be fear.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good one. That's a really look. I would see that as a discovery. It's a fear that, and you stopped yourself from going to the next step. It's a fear that what? What jumps up in your mind, even if you want to push it back down or ignore it or whatever? What's that? There's a fear that.
I'm not sure. It's a fear that I guess it's a fear that I'll kind of lose control of my life. Like I can't really put it into words. Like it's just it's a strange, it's a fear, it's a resistance, and it doesn't make sense to me because like as I've said, like I want to feel better in the
Yeah,
situation that I'm in.
it
I don't want
doesn't
to
make
suffer.
sense when you articulate it. It doesn't make sense when you bring it out into the light. But while ever it stays out of clear seeing,
Mm,
it doesn't have to make sense because it's just that fear, isn't it?
hmm
Yeah. But there's a fear of letting go of the fear.
mm.
Now, the only way that you're going to know about that is to recognize what your intuition tells you, and that's going to be in a kind of it'll still appear as a thought, what it'll tell you, but it will be in a different form. It'll have a different tone about it when your intuition talks to you. So it's a case of okay, there's something that says if I let go of this fear is protecting me. If I let go of it, something will happen. And the idea, first thing that pops into your mind is likely to be in the area of what we're looking for.
You're asking me when I think of the fear, what pops in mind?
Yeah, if you let go of the fear, what would happen?
I'd worry that I wouldn't be a productive human being, I
Yeah.
guess. I'd worry
Okay.
that I'm not doing the things that I'm supposed to do for my
Right.
children. Uh, that
Okay.
kind of,
So, yep. That really comes back to this control issue, doesn't it? I would lose control if I let go of that. I wouldn't be productive. I wouldn't be a good dad anymore. I wouldn't be a whole lot of things. Yeah. So if you just to summarize what you've just seen, what you've just arrived at, is that this suffering is keeping you alert and being how you think you should be. If you let go of the suffering, whoa, that's not good. You need the suffering to keep you on track, to keep you being a productive human being, a good dad, etc.
But the suffering isn't keeping me on track. I
No,
mean,
it's
I feel like,
crazy, isn't it, when you think about it? But
yeah,
yeah. So let go of the suffering. You don't need it. And then that fear comes back, doesn't it?
yeah. I mean, it almost feels like I don't know how to let go of the fear or the suffering. I'm not,
Because you
yeah.
can't let go of it, right? That's control
Hmm.
again. You can't let go of it. But you can see how it's a false construct. And then letting go might happen when you recognize that you don't really need it to be a good dad. You don't really need it to be a productive human being. Are we pushing too hard?
I don't think so. Um, no, I mean, I want to, I, I've been feeling pretty, yeah, I kind of, yeah, I've been having a hard time and I've been really wanting something to change, I guess, which is like all of the things that I don't, that seem like it's maybe not skillful, um, a skillful way to approach what comes up. But yeah, I don't know.
So again, we're back to control here. So can you
Mm,
see that if you actually had control, you could change things? But it appears that you can't. Things are the way they are, and that's it.
hmm.
But there's a story there that says if you accept that, it's going to turn you into a pile of mush, and you won't be productive. You won't be a good dad. You won't be any of the things that you see as good and appropriate anymore. So we can't accept that we have no control. We've got to keep pushing, 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 suffering, suffering, suffering.
Mm.
Has the idea occurred to you that you will still be productive? You will still try your best at everything that you do if have no control. If you don't any longer try, it will just happen because that's you. That's in you. That's your nature. Has that occurred to you, that idea?
I feel like so much of my effort and um, so much of the effort and the energy I put into the things that I do is centered around sort of like guilt and shame in a way that
Right.
if I let go of the suffering, I'm not sure that I would put the same amount of energy
Yeah,
into
yeah.
this.
If you let go of the
Yeah,
guilt and the shame, yeah, God,
yeah,
you'll certainly disappoint your mum then, won't you?
yeah. But I don't know. In like the cost benefit of analysis, I like I don't. It's really hard for me to continue. Like I can't hang on to those things. I don't know. Like I want to be done with them,
Yep, yep, yep.
I guess.
And in a way you are. I mean, you can thank them. You can thank your mum's pushing you and all of that, your mum's dissatisfaction with everything. You can thank all of that for bringing you to where you are now, because where you are now is way better than what you think it is. Where you are now, I mean, you're a good person. You know, you have your nature is good. You do good, productive work. Oh God, you're a doctor for Christ's sake. How could you be doing anything better for humankind than that? Not much. You're a good. There's a lot of good stuff there, and it came out of all that shitty stuff. But you kind of somehow think you've got to hang on to that shitty stuff in order to keep going. But you don't. It's already established. It's in you. But you don't see that yet, I guess.
No, maybe not. Hmm.
What about those days when you go to work and you're just exhausted? You haven't slept properly the night before and you're really, really buggered, you know, you just haven't got any energy and whatever. Do you still do your job okay?
I think so.
Yeah, of course you do. Of
I'm
course you do.
not always super proud of the effort I put in, I guess. Um, but I do what I can.
Yeah, of course. No question. In my mind, there'd be no question that of course you would. That's you. That's your nature. It doesn't require the whip to do it.
Do you see that the doing is already happening, Ray, and the trying is only happening in your head?
Not, it's hard for me to really comprehend that. I think I sort of understand it conceptually, but in my experience, it's just a lot muddier. There are times like today where, I feel like I could just like sit in bed all day and um, I feel like I don't have a lot of energy, and like if I want to do something, I really have to make an effort to do something other than sit on the couch or lay in bed, um, because I just feel like I don't have any energy to get things done.
And so you think the whip of thoughts is what's getting that done.
Maybe. I mean, I haven't been super productive today, and there is always a question for me of like am I tapping into something that is my body trying to tell me that it needs rest and it needs to be like it needs to focus inwards right now. And I've been trying to listen to that also. And so I've been trying to sort of remove the pressure to do things and be productive. But there's a little bit of fear with that as well. Like, can I go too far if I lay in bed all day, trying to defend myself from being tortured by my own thoughts? Maybe that's not the healthiest thing either.
Oh, maybe you'll never get up again.
Yeah, maybe. So
On
I mean,
some
there
level, you
is.
think it's not okay to feel like shit, don't you?
I definitely would say that it's not preferable. Yeah,
Super productive is top of the list for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I want to be productive. I want to, I mean, I want to be, yeah, I want to be productive. I want to be of service.
Well,
Um,
how how do you know being productive isn't taking care of your body right now and laying around and just feeling like shit? Everybody else would. I mean, your marriage is busting up.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm doing a lot of that. I think I just feel guilty about it when I do. And then um, I very much, I very much want that to change.
So, as an experiment,
Mm.
could you try to, where before you kind of let the thoughts, you were listening to the thoughts, what the thoughts were saying that you need to do? As an experiment, can you, for a week maybe, just listen to what the body wants you to do?
I could try it. I think that the body really just wants to not do anything, is sort of my feeling. It doesn't really want to eat. It doesn't really want to, it feels like a pretty deep depression. And when that happens, I don't really want to do anything. That means like I don't want to go to work. I don't want to talk to people. And that makes it very difficult to function in society without like losing my job or, you hurting relationships that I have. And I recognize that these are sort of like the thoughts that I'm projecting in the future. But I don't know. Those are my fears, I guess, with doing what you propose.
Yeah, so it's great that you can kind of see what is in the way of doing that. So when those fears come up, you can recognize them as fears, as stories, not as
Mhm.
reality. Of course,
Mhm.
you have to do what you have to do in terms of like if you have to go to work, you can't take any time off, then you have to do that. But in terms of hurting relationships, for example, I mean, I think everybody would understand that if you said, I just don't, I need some time to process this. I don't want to be social right now. Just be vulnerable about that. I think people will, connect with that and meet you there, give you that
Yeah,
space.
yeah, you might be right. Um, all right, I can give it a shot. Try to give myself just a little bit more grace. Um,
And also ask yourself if you can you just like I've heard somebody say, I think it's Pernilla, can you be in a body that feels shitty? If you know that there is no choice, if you knew that there is no choice for the next week, you will feel shitty. Can you
mhm.
just accept that and not want it to go away?
That'd be pretty hard. But yeah, I guess so.
There's another aspect to this that I think's worth considering, and that is that recognizing what your body's saying is the important part about it, right? So your body might say, I don't feel like going to work when it comes time for you to go to work. Now, if that's the case, you're going to go to work and you're going to feel shitty about going to work. But if you ask yourself again when you're at work, am I still feeling shitty? You'll very likely find that you're not, that you're involved in your work and you're not aware until you ask yourself. And then when you ask yourself, you might go, oh, well, yes, I am, but I wasn't until I asked myself, kind of thing, you know. So it's always a case of what is happening now, right? So when you first ask yourself about, you know, my body feels shitty and I don't want to go to work, that's now. But there's also a projection, like an old I won't be able to do my work properly because I'm feeling shitty, or some other story about how you'll still feel shitty then. But chances are you won't, because you'll be involved in your work and you'll forget about being shitty and you won't be shitty till a thought occurs, and then it might come back or not. So what I'm saying is resist believing the stories about the future. Always, when you ask yourself, what am I feeling? It's now, not about what it'll be like in an hour from now or a day from now or a week from now or whenever. Because you'll feel shitty, but you'll still go to work, won't you? Because that's
Yeah.
important. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to go in about 10 minutes or so, because I've got somebody else to work with. But yeah, things good for you, Monique, Michelle? Good things?
Meeting in particular has been really um, bringing up compassion for myself by just hearing everyone else's like identification with thoughts and the meanness and the self of that. And yeah, it's a strong it's a strong connection that I have recognized in myself a lot this week too, and just noticing it and um recognizing that it feels uncomfortable, and then like just questioning sometimes, like, am I doing this? I mean, I don't know whether I'm doing it. It feels like I'm doing it, but I don't know. And yeah, just I mean, just all of it. It's just interesting how, or just thinking about things that happen, whether they're just happening or whether I'm making them happen. I can think of other things in my life where I'm like, I'm not sure why things didn't go in this direction. Like talking about getting up and getting out of bed. Like there'll be times when I'll wake up in the morning and go, yeah, I'm just gonna lay in bed all day today. I just wanna. And then a half hour later, I find I'm up and I'm moving around. And then I'll think back and go, well, I thought I was gonna stay in bed all day. Like I don't have anything I had to have to do necessarily, And so, yeah, it's just things like that that I'll notice and recognize that
Yeah.
maybe I'm not doing that then because the thoughts were, don't get up,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the body
exactly.
got
Yeah.
up.
So there you go, Ray.
Yeah, it's,
Thanks for that, Michelle. That was good. Yeah. How about you, Cormac? Things good for you?
Yeah, yeah, been really good. I feel like do we have time? Yeah, I kind of um, it's more like I'm just allowing anything that comes up to be there. There's very little resistance happening. Um, I think before with all the other trainings I'd done, I was almost like I was hunting thoughts, and now I feel like I'm just accepting them in a broader perspective thoughts and emotions, recognizing they're there and accepting them. Um, yeah, so it's been a big relief really for me, just the last few days, really. Just yeah, anything that comes up is just sort of allowed to be there and allowed to flow through, and I don't I don't feel. I mean, sometimes unpleasant stuff will come up, like I mean, but yeah, I don't feel as lost when that happens or as caught up in the cascade of thoughts that'll follow.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, like a kind of deep presence and acceptance of my nature has been going on.
Right.
Mm,
And has there been are they these things coming up with the awareness of them? Has there
yeah,
been recognition that they're showing you something?
yeah. So first it's just kind of recognizing that they're just thoughts anyway, or just sensations. That's sort of just happening without a real cognitive thing that I was kind of enforcing on it before. It's just sort of, oh yeah, okay, fine. Um, but I suppose if I then put a cognitive slant on sort of why it is that this has come up, then yeah, I'll just recognize, oh, this is just, in my nature to be done. Even had that kind of intuitive voice happen to me, which I suppose it's been happening, but I didn't really recognize it as anything separate to my own voice before. Like just the other morning, I was in bed, woke up too early, and was just meditating, and my mind was starting to plan the day or do that sort of thing. And then it like a voice just said to me in my own head, but it wasn't really my normal monologue. It was just said that nothing needs to happen. Um, and
Right,
it's
right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
just sort of just was like, oh yeah, well, there's a thought, there it goes, but nothing more needs to happen about that right now. And so I've kind of been applying that as a mantra a little bit, maybe, but not. I mean, not all the time, but I know that I can use that as a mantra if I need to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
So yeah,
good.
things are going real good at the moment with me.
I love that you recognize that intuitive voice popping up, revealing stuff to you. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I even wrote it down, which and a few other thoughts that followed it, because I don't normally write stuff down. And maybe it was just writing it down sort of concreted that um,
Yep,
concept in my mind. Yeah.
good stuff. Good
So
stuff.
thanks. Yeah. Mm,
Thank you.
okay.
Alexi,
Hey Vince, how are you?
good.
Um, Kind of a bit of a turbulent week. These like weird mystic states keep kind of showing up kind of often. And after there's a lot of turbulence, usually the day after and next 2 days, really turbulent mind state or just a lot of mental chatter. Um,
About the weird states that turn up.
no, not really about them. They're kind of so addicting. And you're like, oh, you just kind of want them to stay, even though you know it's not really possible. But it's just more mental chatter about for me, it's just like a purpose, a passion that I want to have, but it's just a stupid story. So I kind of try to break that up by just saying now, whenever the thought comes up, or I kind of get lost in them, just now, 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 and that seems to how that really works for me. I tried to apply like the last session. Someone said, "Well, you need to change your attitude towards the thoughts," because it was a little bit critical of them. Um, and I think you can even say now with like in a kind of a loving way instead of not like now, but it's just now. Like that's a thought now. Just the attention goes back to now and just repeating that basically all day if I can do that.
Mm.
That kind of yeah.
Yeah, okay. So a thought turns up here that says, what if you reframed now into this? Say this instead of now, just as a way of expanding from just time into everything.
This into now. I don't, can you say it in a
So,
different
you
way?
know, how you're saying now, come into the
Yeah.
present, by saying now,
Yes.
right? And I'm saying just change the word now into the word this, right? And what that implies is a lot more than just now. It includes now, but it implies everything that exists at this moment.
This now. The now kind of already has that element for me because now it's like this experience of now. Like
Okay, that's
it's
fine
not
then.
just
Yeah,
being present. It's what is experiencing now, not the chatter. It's just the sensory experience of now, your
okay,
body, the
all right,
sensation.
I get
And
that. Yeah, that's
that's what
fine.
the this because these things kind of like whatever word you pick, it has to kind of feel energetically right for you. Because if you make it too long,
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
it,
yeah,
it has to be really fine tuned to you, and your body has to know exactly what this is.
yeah. Okay.
Um,
No, that's
so
fine. I get it.
yeah,
So now works for you. That's fine. Stay with that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that you said it includes this. That's good. Yeah.
No, it is all of now, like
Yes. All of.
now.
Yes, that's important. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, good stuff. And it's not just bypassing. It's not just saying it's not just there in order to fix something.
It,
It's
it 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 gives me an opportunity to just kind of feel the moment more than like for me, like the thought patterns sometimes can be strong. So the now does break up those patterns. That's just what it does. I don't know how
just step back into a
organic.
different perspective. Yes. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And like I felt like if I don't do that, then I'll go to kind of some nasty little places. Just it's easy to get just for where I'm at, it's easy to get carried away in various thought streams. But that now is just you can't really get carried away because
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a reminder of that is a thought. Come back to the what is now right now and
Right.
feel that now.
So
Um,
is there any pattern recognition? Are the things that turn up that you're applying that to have the same basis?
I don't. I mean, can
Are
you
they
give me an example?
are they repeats? These things that you're
I mean, most of the thoughts are repeats. Are you talking about like the like kind of what's kind of bothering me a little bit? Is that are you
yeah,
talking about
yeah,
those
where
things?
the thoughts come out of rather than with thoughts themselves?
Where do they come out? Like, what is the general pattern that's the thoughts are around?
Yeah, yes, yeah,
Yeah, that pattern is around kind of like I was talking to Marius today, and it's like there's a desire to have like a purpose or a meaning and then from that, it's like, okay, well, why do you want to have that? And then it's like, so I don't have to feel this moment,
yeah.
so I
Okay.
can
So,
not be
so
there.
yeah.
So
My
it has
point
that.
is do these reoccurring thoughts always come out of that place of wanting to have a purpose, etc.?
Um, no, not always. They
Uh,
can come as a kind of a garden variety, but that main one is having like I wish there's like something I was in love with, but that it's not real. It's just the
yeah,
story
yeah, yeah.
that's around.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
get that.
oh
So that's irrelevant, though. What I'm saying is,
yeah,
if they keep coming out of that place, then you're bypassing by just using now as a
I
way.
know what you're trying to get.
Yeah.
Yes. So me and Marius kind of talked about that. I hope it's okay that we talk about the stuff that we talked about, Marius. I think it's all. But like I've been having this kind of restlessness. And it's kind of like a seeking restless energy. And we talked about just sitting here doing absolutely nothing. Because like it's hard for me to read books now. Like I
Mm.
just can't.
That-
I tried reading. I got Paul's book, Paul Letterman or Paul something,
Hedderman.
Escaped Everything. I tried reading about 30 pages. It's just like, God, it's just so difficult. I can't, it's hard for me to read stuff on the subject or anything. But there's like this energy just to go and do stuff. Um, and there's a fear of just sitting in one place. So we kind of talked about maybe you should just sit for weeks or a couple months, not doing very much. Just sit there with that energy of not doing things,
Mm.
not having to go somewhere. 'Cause it's fairly uncomfortable.
Yep, yep. So that's the thing, isn't it? That discomfort is you are right on the edge of something. Yeah.
Right.
So what I was going to suggest was pretty much the same thing, but when you feel the need to, or when you're inclined to use the now to bring yourself back out of that state, if there's a reoccurring pattern with the stuff that turns up, then
Yeah.
then it might be worthwhile allowing yourself to go into the edge of it enough to feel a bit more about it, and that will bring up discomfort that then may
Yeah.
reveal stuff to you. Right? So what
Right.
we do is we cut the legs out from underneath it so that we're not fixing it when it turns up, but rather we're doing something about the reason that it turns up.
Right. It's an avoidance pattern. It's
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that I
yeah.
have to
So
address.
that
So,
discomfort is your key. Yes.
yeah.
But just go to the edge. You don't have to go into the painful. Just go to the edge of where you feel it, and then it will reveal stuff to you. Yeah. Yeah. Phew. It's big, isn't it? Hmm. Okay, people, I do have to run. So thank you all, everybody. It's been great. Again, always great.
Makes sense. Thanks, everyone.